welcome to, I'm going to call this Coaching Conversations in a Cupboard, because of where we are in the little office here. So with us today we've got Kirk Pitman, New Zealand Beach Volleyball legend, obviously played on the beach tour for a number of years and now transitioned into coaching. Coached the English team at the Commonwealth Games, now coaching the top Australian women team who've qualified for the Olympics next year, which is a fantastic achievement. So great that we've got Kirk here with us, and we're just going to spend the next half an hour or so just trying to get a better understanding of Kirk's background, his coaching experiences, his philosophies, and some ideas he might have that we can share with you as the wider Volleyball New Zealand coaching community, that hopefully you can take and learn from those. So welcome along, thanks very much. First inaugural, let's call it Volleyball New Zealand podcast or video podcast or whatever we're going to call it. But yeah, great to have you.
Thanks, mate.
So first question, just to help set the scene, is do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in volleyball?
Yeah, born in Whangarei, so I'm from up north, Ngāpui. Dad Māori, mum Dutch, so quite a combination there. Went to Kama High School up there, and played National Secondary Schools Division 2 in Tauranga in 1998. That was my first experience with volleyball, and loved it. Played every different sport, probably like rugby league were probably my sports growing up. And then just kind of fell into, form teacher was the volleyball coach, come along, found it quite challenging. And then from there, moved to Tauranga. Made New Zealand Secondary Schools team from Division 2, which was kind of as a reserve. So as a reserve player, going away to compete in the, what they call a quadrangular tournament, New South Wales and Queensland, North Island, South Island. Had a great experience there, met some really cool people and just made friends for life there, and kind of fell in love with volleyball. So watched on TV Mr. Tom Eade and Craig Susu play on the national tour. I think it probably was playing against Norway, if I remember rightly. Channel 2, I was just lying on the couch.
Channel 2 is a throwback.
Yeah, Channel 2 on the couch live against Norway. I think they were playing against a couple of guys, Shimperu and Hoidala, and I know them now because I actually played against them in my playing career. But just thought like, wow, it's volleyball. Just looked really cool and exciting, and something that I love the beach, love being outdoors, and all of a sudden an opportunity come to go down to the Mount on a kind of volleyball academy at this stage. Phil Merritt and Mike Dudson put together a really cool program where we could study at the Polytech. So I was doing business computing, and I had good coaching around me and good people to kind of train and play beach volleyball. Had a great opportunity to play with Craig Susu 2 years later after seeing him on the couch, where we went away and had a lot of success. First 3 tournaments in Asia we won, and kind of just happened from there. Played with a guy, Jason Lockhead, played with him for 10 years. Craig Susu coached us for 4 years. Really set us up in a good place. Managed to play professionally for 10 years and represent New Zealand, which I'm really proud of. Based myself out of the Mount and made a living out of it. Feel really fortunate to be on a really cool journey. Now I look back, for example, talking to 10, 19-year-old kids, it really brings back a whole lot of memories about where it all kind of really started for me, and how far I really came in playing as an athlete. Decided to hang my boots up. Had 2 years. Olympics was always the real pinnacle and the goal for us. Fell short a couple of times, which pretty disappointed about that myself, because I think we were good enough to kind of be there, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason. So fell into coaching. Married my wife after 2012 Olympics. She was an Olympian for Team GB. Moved to England, spent 5 years there. Worked in a volleyball academy there, where I was looking after 40 athletes. And I guess I didn't give up volleyball because of physically, or I just was mentally, just needed a break. Right. It'd been my life since I left school, and I devoted every minute, every year to it, and I just needed to get away mentally and kind of just come to terms with what life was all about. So I kind of fell back into the coaching role, where I still love, I'm very passionate about the game, and very, very proud Kiwi, and then this opportunity came up to work with these athletes, and I took that role on, and it kind of started from there, my coaching career. So I started coaching my wife. She played 1 year after the Olympics, and that was just like, look, hey, do you want to coach us? There's really no one to coach them at that capacity, and that's where it kind of started on the real kind of high performance, I guess, stuff. They were funded by UK Sport, so it had a lot of good support around me there. Coached the boys to the Commonwealth Games. They got fourth in the Commonwealth Games in the Gold Coast, and an opportunity came 2 years ago now, straight after the Commonwealth Games, to work with the number one women's pair in Australia. So it's kind of the closest thing to coming home for me. 4-hour flight direct from Adelaide. Closer to my family, being closer to the Suns, always like set in England as well. So that's kind of it's a pretty short, sharp overview of kind of the journey so far. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, cool.
So we'll delve into both playing and coaching, but I'd like to spend more time on the coaching side of things, but we'll start with the playing. And you mentioned kind of your background is from the north, from the far north, Whangarei, Kamo, and that's, I guess, the challenge with that area geographically is quite far from anywhere else, and there's not always a lot of athletes of a similar ability, so it'd be easy for athletes to kind of go, this is too hard. So I guess the question that's jumped out for me is, what was it that inspired you or gave you the catalyst to keep going and go, actually, this is something I want to, what or who, or maybe it's a combination of both?
Yeah, I think a lot about this, like I'm quite optimistic, and it's probably one of my strengths as one of my personality strengths, I think. And I look back, and I think a lot of the values that my family instilled and the support that they gave me wasn't always financial support. It was, I can remember maybe my father saying, me saying I want to climb that tree, and then being like, I'm a bit scared to climb that tree. And he's like, yeah, you can, and you climb that tree, and I can't really, probably fell out of it. But they instilled a lot of support around me that, whatever I wanted to do, you can go do it, which I think was really, it helped me a lot. And just dealing with adversity and things that pop up along the way, just to keep on, keep the eye on the prize. Really helped me through, in life in general, sitting up. But I definitely think, up north it was challenging, and I had to make a decision, how serious am I really about this, and I chose to go to the Mount because of, it was smart for me to go and surround myself around good coaching in an environment where I was going to learn, because I wasn't going to have that. I would love to have stayed in Whangarei because that's where the family is, but that's kind of where I moved, and I chose to kind of take a bit of a jump down there.
And what was it? Because that came through loud and clear through your background, is the environments you've put yourself in have really helped you develop. Talk a little bit around what that environment was like down in the Mount in those days.
It was very self-driven, so no one set trainings up for us. We just had a group of guys that went down there and played. And I think that was kind of a really good thing for us. We had two or three older guys and then 2 or 3 younger guys. So that blend was really nice, from experienced guys wanting young athletic guys to come down and try and take them on, to actually the young ones learning from the older ones too. So I definitely think that part of my philosophy anyway of developing athletes is, if you can get that, it's not always easy, but if you can get that, yet older athlete or more experienced athlete or better athlete to help develop, without the detriment of obviously the older athlete not learning or getting better, but kind of pull through the younger ones. I really like that, and I think that can actually work all the way through and even to the highest level.
It's an interesting thought kind of process or thought experiment, that is, because a lot of the time you just train in your age group, and how often could you or should you kind of expose younger athletes to those, to those role models who are. I remember I heard a story about the kayaking or canoe club that Lisa Carrington started at, and club night was a Wednesday night or something, and so you'd have a complete novice lining up next to Lisa Carrington, and they found that was just had so much inspiration and motivation attached to that kind of novice or beginner going, holy crap, there's an Olympian next to me, and that power of going, wow, this is really cool. Just interesting thought experiment around how could that happen more in volleyball.
Well, I think even as a coach now, look, if I'm trying to create that kind of environment, I think it is a bit of an art as well. There's no real, you've got to do this and that. I think you've got to really understand who you're working with and how they react and what do they like. Can this older athlete help this younger athlete, or is it good for them? Or there's so many factors that you've got to kind of look at. But I definitely think it can help both, actually, because the younger enthusiastic person going at the older one just motivates that older one to kind of push through too.
And then fast forwarding a little bit now, you're on you've been on the tour for a while. And you mentioned, the reason you hung up the boots, so to speak, was just needed a break. How did you push through in some of those times when you were going, oh man, this is so hard? Obviously it's hard physically, it's hard mentally, it's hard because you're away from family, it's financially hard as well. How did you what was the catalyst to keep going in those times when you were like, man, what am I doing here? It's really tough.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there's some real times of deep depression. When our first cycle, when I look back, it was really tough because we failed it. I'd set this goal, and I think this is always the tough thing when you're very driven and you want to achieve things, and we didn't quite make it, and so I felt like a bit of a failure. And then so coming home to New Zealand and feeling like we didn't do what we wanted to achieve, which was go to the Olympics in 2008, was like a real learning. I had to really find myself and find out who I really was. But I think again, family for me was just they're everything to me. So that was. They helped me through a lot of that support, knowing that they were always there and working through it. So, but I just think got to a really dark place, but actually it really helped me in the long run to deal with things that maybe might have been bigger than probably what they were, because actually I coped with this other thing that was, I didn't know it was depression really at that time. I just thought it was just a bad time. But I was just always still driven, I sometimes didn't really feel like I was, I always looked at what everyone else had maybe, and instead of looking like, actually my life's not too bad. So, but it's difficult to do that when you're in it, and you're just seeing, a lot of other nations with a whole lot of money and sponsorship, and you're struggling and you're working, some jobs when you're thinking, I just want to be playing volleyball because I want to get better at volleyball.
Do you, looking back now, do you think there was, could anything have been done, whether that was from you or coach or, anybody within your kind of circle that could have made that period easier, or was it just kind of something that you look back now and go, I went through it and it's actually helped me?
I would say family as well. I did have really good support, coaching and support around. So, I know Phil and Phil Merritt and Mike Dudson were always around there. I didn't always access that, but they were still really supportive of what I was going through, but in a way where they weren't overpowering or influencing decisions that I was making. It was really a support mechanism. I made decisions why I wanted to do it and what I was going to do, and actually they just were always there to know that I could always go to them for advice if it got really tough or I was kind of a bit stuck. So they created this. I think they created an environment or a culture where we were actually making decisions ourselves and actually, teaching ourselves. Which I think in the long run has really helped my coaching. It's probably one skill that I took from as an athlete that I transferred into coaching.
Okay, well let's talk about that transition then, because it's an interesting kind of path you've taken where you're like, I'm stopping playing, I've just had enough, I need a break, and then 2 years later you're going, alright, I'm going to get back into coaching. How did that transition go for you?
I'll be honest, probably the first 2 years I was just a player, just telling people what to do because of what I did, because that's all I knew. I didn't really know what coaching was. I didn't know what teaching was. I'd always had a few people through my playing career say, oh, you know, you'd be a great coach. Well, I didn't really know what that meant.
Right.
Because I didn't know what coaching was. I think I just started to realise that first of all was like, why would I be wanting to do this?
Yeah.
So I found out I actually really like teaching and helping people get better or be a better person.
And did that come from, you did it, you started coaching and then go, actually I like this, or was it something you knew about yourself before?
Yeah, no, I think I just started doing it. Yeah, I just started and I was like, oh, I really quite like this. You know, I love the sport, so I'm still involved. I felt like I had a bit of knowledge in areas which I could actually help people, and it was nice to see someone get better. So I was almost quite addictive, really. It was not more about like, hey, I want to get the paycheck, or do this or that. It was just more like, actually, just really like helping people.
And I think it's a really important lesson for coaches, just kind of around understanding your why. Like, why is it that you're...
And that was me. And that was me, you know. And I think that's like everyone has this different motivation on why they coach, you know. And there's no right or wrong. It's just actually understanding when things get quite tough, like, so you can go back and go, well, actually, this is why I am doing it. You know. And if it is money, then you got to make better decisions and be smarter on where you're going to be, you know. And that's not bad. You know, I think it's like you just got to understand how you tick and do all that kind of stuff. So it helped me knowing like I just love teaching people. That's all right. You have a bad day, that's all right. I can come back tomorrow and I can still teach people, and it could be a different outcome.
And then I know when we were talking a bit earlier, you shared a story around you got put on a course or a program through Sport UK or UK Sport that I think would resonate with quite a few people here. So would you mind going into that program that you were on and what you learned from it?
Yeah, it's called a Connect program. So I was lucky enough to kind of be selected from Volleyball England as a talented coach to go into this program, and it was 2 weekends of full on, you know, nothing about, we had 3 sports there, so it was judo, shooting and volleyball. We probably had about 20 coaches in there, and it was really just small group stuff, understanding what coaches, who we were, what coaching was, what kind of environment we're trying, you know, like what was all about. Nothing to do with technical and tactical stuff, which is probably what I felt I was quite strong at because of my playing career. Because I understand the game, but I didn't really understand the coaching bit. So I felt really I felt uncomfortable. You know, it was difficult, but it made it a little bit easier for me because I think everyone else was a little uncomfortable as well, and from different sports, and I got to mix with people and just understand their journeys and what made them tick, and just ask questions. And I started to really define, okay, well, this is coaching, how I see coaching. It was a really cool experience, one that really I didn't expect, and I think the guy that delivered it, Andrew, he was fantastic too, and just a lot of the content that they had. It didn't ever seem hard. It was engaging and talking with people about stuff. We were very open about, you know, we could say whatever, and it wasn't wrong. It was just, hey, this is where I'm at, and then you go, oh, actually, yeah, that's pretty stupid, or, you know, why are we thinking along those lines? This is what we're trying to do. You know, so it was a fantastic experience. And then after that, actually, the follow-on was a Strive program, which I was attached with a coach mentor. So a coach mentor would come visit me every month for, I think it was probably 6 months to a year, and observe me. So I would have close contact. I could ring him at any time, and he was from hockey, Jason. So he coached Team GB in hockey, and now he was a coach mentor and coach developer. And it was just, I got on with him really well. I learned so much from him because it was more along, it was almost like an apprenticeship. And I'm a big believer in that I think sometimes you can't really explain to someone, hey, do this, do that, when it's not really happening. So when things were going on in my team, and I was experiencing it, I was able to reach out to him, and he was able to talk me through it. He never, again, it's a similar process that I had with, you know, probably my playing career, where I would have to just assess and figure out what would be the best method to use in the situation, or how to deal with this type of conflict with one of my athletes, or whatever it might be. Or understand maybe I'm talking too much, which is quite a common thing for me, is, you know, talking a lot and actually there was nothing coming back from the athletes. So you end up just talking at someone. So these were the things, and he would video me and show me. He'd write down all that stuff. I gave him free rein to be like, just, I can take it. It was hard, but I can take it, because I wanted to be a better coach. So I was like, give it to me. I've got this guy who's been to 2 Olympics, had all this experience in coaching, and I was like, mate, like, I've only got you here for this amount of time, so just tell me what you think. And he wrote everything down, told me it, showed me on the video, and it was hard, but it was the best thing that in my coaching career so far that's kind of ever happened to me,
right.
because I was able to kind of understand who I was and what I needed to improve,
yep.
What I was capable of doing and what I needed to improve on.
Interesting. I mean, that's quite a brave, courageous kind of thing to go through. It's just to say, look, I want to give it to me, warts and all, kind of approach. But obviously, it's paid dividends for you. Is that something you'd recommend? With just because I mean, my background is coach development, so I would wholeheartedly agree with that. But it's also it can be quite confronting sometimes to let somebody come in and observe you coach and be open to receiving some of that feedback. But would you recommend that to?
Yeah, so I see it as like, we ask sometimes our athletes to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's okay to be feeling uncomfortable, and I think it is uncomfortable for a coach. It's just another level, someone above you that's you respect, that's actually a great coach or very experienced. I just see it as like for asking our athletes to kind of be in that way or have that kind of mindset. Like, I don't see why. I think sometimes you've got to be kind of showing them that actually, like, I'm like that too. That's probably the best way to show them, not so much just tell them.
You're role modeling that.
Role modeling. And I know it's hard. And I don't expect everyone to be doing that. Maybe I was pretty open, and I'm pretty open. But a lot of my experiences, that's the only thing. I was like, okay, so do I really want this? And if you really want it, I think you're open. I've played at a high level, I've coached, but I don't know everything. I could have been a bit of player, or just things, can be like now I'm just only 5-6 years into coaching. So it's like I'm just learning, and I actually love the process of that. Like I wouldn't want to know everything or be the best, because I think that's the journey bit's the exciting bit for me.
I think what you mentioned before is sometimes you don't know. You can sit in a workshop and someone can talk about how to deal with conflict when a player isn't selected or whatever the situation might be, but until you go through that, sometimes it's very hard to apply that learning. So having that somebody...
I'll tell you, just flashback on me right now, I'll tell you a story. We were dealing with conflict, so this guy Andrew who run the program, he got an actor in. His mate's like one of these amazing actors. He comes in, so he was acting. So everybody was sitting around the room, and you had to sit in the middle of the room and deal with this conflict or this situation that had happened. So he would give the situation to the actor, and the actor would act it out, and you would have to then try and just be calm, understand what was going on, ask the right questions, and then at the end it was daunting because this actor was unbelievable. It felt like it was in that situation. So he kind of simulated. He created an environment where we were uncomfortable. People were all watching us, all our colleagues and people that we're doing stuff with, and a guy that was really good at like making it really difficult for you. So those situations there wasn't hard. To be honest, I was dreading it. And then actually after I finished it, I was like, wow, what a cool experience. And actually, I do remember that every time now when I sit down with athletes and have to deal with whatever it might be, it helps me a lot. And you get better with practice going through those things because you don't always nail it. And that's what it showed me too. I wasn't great in that one. But it doesn't mean I'm not good now, because that's what really helped me. I learned so much from the I was terrible, but I actually thought I was pretty good. So went in there thinking I'm not bad, and then I'm actually like, oh no, I've got so much to improve.
And so, I mean, you don't. I mean, you can have access to mentors. Obviously people can go and find their own mentors whenever they like, but having that sort of in-depth development doesn't happen all the time. So when you haven't been on courses like that, what's your process just to develop as a coach? How do you go about going, actually, I need to be better at this. How can I be better at that?
So I create this is just from my coach mentor. He just gave me a bit of a framework around how I can track and reflect on and create some kind of just some things I can do or search. So I have some like a competencies chart where I have 7 things that I'm like, I need to get better at.
Right. And those change depending on...
So I've got a bit of a rank, I've like a scale on it, and it was like 10, so I always look at 10 and I put that person down. So for me, I just think I like quite being confident. I think it's important for my team. So one of my things is like having confidence. Greg Popovich is a guy that I love watching. I love NBA, and I put him at the top. So I use him as this. I think he's just got an aura about him, and I just love the way he operates. Okay, he's kind of grumpy and stuff now, but I just think like the respect that everyone has. So I kind of put him up there, and then I kind of put myself. So I'm like a 5 to where he's at, you know, and the numbers are relevant really. It's just trying to, how do we get that shifting to that point and put some action plans together. So how do I actually like be a lot more confident and how am I going to do it? The other one is like I didn't know a lot about scouting, you know, using video footage and data programs, and so hadn't had a lot of experience indoor a little bit, but I needed more knowledge in that area to understand. Okay, I know that everyone's heading in this direction where there's a lot of data that's coming around that you need to understand what it's saying and how it's going to help you, because if someone else is using it, then you need to kind of be understanding it. So searching out programs and getting people and reaching out to people to go spend time with someone that actually knows it, that's actually a scout, and they can show me and how it works and understand it more like that. So some of the things was just a bit more like I just need to understand that I need to be a bit better in this area, and I'm going to be more aware of it. Other things was a bit more like, okay, I'm actually going to go to this person, and this person's got the knowledge, and I feel like that's really could help me. So it just fluctuates, and then
And how often would you see, let's say, you score yourself 5 for confidence? When would you go back to that and go, have I improved or have I not? Is it an annual thing, or is it?
I tend to go monthly, just because I think one of the challenges of coaching, and I know there's probably so many different levels of it. I could imagine if you're just coaching a schools team in high school, or you're coaching a under-19s kind of team, you've got all these other things going on. You've got family, you've got work, you've got all these other things you're trying to juggle. Then the last thing you sometimes have a chance to do is kind of sit down and kind of write and reflect and learn and get better at those things. I just want to do a good job on the day, or what do the best I've got with what I've got right now. So I kind of go monthly, just to kind of check in and reflect a lot more, and just kind of go, okay, I've done this here now, and I give myself I like to give myself timelines, because that's how I operate. So again, I understand myself, how I operate, and I try and put kind of things in place where I can be most effective to kind of learn, because that's what I want to need to do, get better. So I go monthly, I reflect, and I put new things in, and just kind of see. The number for me is just never really important. It's always like as long as it's moving, that's the key. Putting the next thing in, and I might shift it and reassess, probably every year. But those numbers is about how can I just keep getting better, and if I feel like that hasn't been done, then I've got to go do it, or it has been done, what's my next step? Kind of making sure I've got to know where I'm at. That's helped me just get better. Otherwise, things just go. You just become the same person. You still get better as a coach, I think, because you're coaching. Because the best way to get better at coaching is coaching, no matter what it is. But it just helps you to maybe be a little bit more competent in certain areas, especially when I'm working.
Gives you a bit more of a focus as well.
And where I'm at on the high performance, if I want to be up, one of the things is to be up with the new things that things are going on. Like you don't want to sit down or stop and look around, because they'll pass you, and so you've got to kind of be on it.
Which is another lesson from being an athlete, I think, right? Is
performance.
You can't exactly. If you're at the top of your game, very quickly people are going to overtake you unless you keep searching for that extra.
And that's a big part of my philosophy as well. When with my teams, I think it's as soon as you start being content with what you have, I think that's when you go backwards.
No, I'm just going to check the time, because I know we don't. I don't want to keep you too long. So maybe a couple more questions. So I think one thing that came through that you talked about before that would just be good getting your insight on is how do you, like being an elite athlete is draining. Being a coach, I imagine, is the same. So have you learned anything from when you were playing that you've transitioned to use when you're coaching, of how to just, I guess, switch off or refresh, or kind of go, actually, there's all this pressure and there's all this stuff that I could be focusing on, but for me to be the best coach I can be, I need to just give myself a break. Like, how do you because I think that's something in coaching we maybe don't focus on enough.
Well, recovery.
Yeah.
We ask our athletes to go get a recovery, whether it's go home, because your athlete, when they go home, they get mum and dad, and then they just, the family recharges them, or they, or it's just take some time off because you need some time off. I think that, and with coaches, it's hard because you're trying to sort everyone out. So I always look at it as recovery has been really important for a coach.
So is there anything you do in that recovery space for yourself?
Yeah, well, again, I can only go from what I'm saying, so I wouldn't say that it's completely like, hey, do this. But for my own personal things, again, it stems from having people around me. I think sometimes when I'm dealing with stuff and it becomes overwhelming, I'm still working on it, as in I don't want it to get to a point where it just blows its lid, because I think sometimes that can really happen. Before you know it, like things are just piling up. It's like a bit of a pressure cooker, and then the lid blows off. Is to try and empty that pressure earlier, try and catch it before it actually goes. And some of the ways is really surrounding. I have some really key people around me who support me in a way where they know me so well when I can talk about these things. I mean, obviously Mike Dudson's known me since I'm a 19-year-old kid, and he's coached me through, and he's always a great person that I can call at any time. We have that relationship where I can call and talk to him about anything. So that, I know it's not recovery sitting on a lounge chair in the middle of Barbados, but it's actually helps me kind of unravel a few things, and my personality is I have to get it out, like I have to verbally say it before it actually goes away. So I'm not the one that can kind of deal with it in my own head. I'm quite extroverted, so I just need to just get that out. So it helps me get it out and talk to someone, and then I can kind of move on and kind of crack on. But recovery-wise, taking time. Sometimes you've got to find the balance between you're building something with your team to show that you're all in, and that no matter what, you kind of, again, you're a role model for your team. So I don't think you can really expect to be working with your team going, hey, you need to commit more, and then you just do willy-nilly whatever you want to do. But you've also maybe, like for me, I've got a family, and they're the most important thing to me. One thing that I've really used a lot, because I've said to the girls, like, my family's everything to me. I said to the girls that I train, like, love you guys. Like, we've got some things we're going to do, and this is really important to us. But I said, if anything ever happens to my family, anything that they're a trump card, I'm off. And I've had a few situations already where my son's had to have an operation on his kidney and stuff, and just because I've identified that with my team already, it's not so much of a shock. So just kind of slipping it in there it's a nice way to, for me anyway, was a nice way to just get them to understand, like, you guys mean a lot to me, because we're doing this thing and we're going to go do it. But actually, like, when something happens with my family that hey, I've got to go take care of business here, and it's the most important thing to me. And they really respect that and responded really well. So when they had to go away with another coach or go by themselves, they still could perform without thinking, coach has just ditched us. What's he doing, kind of thing. So I hope that there's just a couple of examples of how I might use certain things to kind of help me balance. If you look at like balance, I don't really always like the word balance, because I think sometimes there's no balance really. It's just trying to prioritize and keep things in check, and not get too carried away, because I think as coaches we always want performance and we want the best. So how much is doing enough? I always struggle with that. You want to do more, want to do more hours, want to do more training camps, more trainings, you want to talk to your athlete more meetings. It just can get out of control, whereas you just kind of go and try and do, okay, I've got this time, give yourself that time and do the best that you can possibly do in that time. That's all we can ask.
I think that's probably, you've just said it there, and that's resonated with me. It's probably prioritization is the word, rather than balance. There's only 24 hours in every day, and you could, as a coach, a lot of people can probably resonate with that, is you're always thinking, what more can I do? And maybe the question is, what needs to be prioritized?
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, well, speaking of recovery, I know you've given up some of your time with your family, which is probably part of your recovery. So one final question before we finish up would just be, what advice would you give? What's one kind of big rock, one piece of advice that you would give an aspiring coach in New Zealand that maybe you've learned, or that you think is really important, that they should have an understanding of?
I think just really just stick at it. I think coaching it's difficult when people talk to me about, like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a coach. oh, okay, you're a coach. You know, it's difficult to explain to people what I have to deal with daily, and the stresses and the worries and the, of everything, of explaining what a coach does. And I think just stick at it, because tomorrow's another day. There's always a saying that if I have a bad day, and I'm a feeler, and I don't want to let people down. I want to do the best sessions, and I want everyone to be happy. And sometimes it's just like, tomorrow's another day. We'll come back at it tomorrow and just give that another good go. And I think sometimes you can get a bit bogged down on yourself, and the things that aren't happening, people. And I think I look back on my own playing career, and I think the coaches that I've had, I've been really lucky and fortunate to have some amazing coaches and people around me, and they've had such a big impact on my life. And I think it's hard sometimes as a coach to see how much impact you might have on certain kids, whether it might be for 30 minutes or 1 minute or actually their whole life. And I think some kids make it really difficult because they show you a bit of gratitude straight away, others maybe a little bit later on when they get older, and others just never do. So I kind of just, you can never relate, you can never take that from your ex-athletes of how good you were as a coach. I think you just got to keep on going and find, if you really love coaching and you want to coach, then just keep coaching.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for giving up your time. This is probably this could go on for another hour or anything. So maybe we can look at next time you're over, we can do a part 2 or something. But look, really appreciate your time. And a lot of nuggets in there, and one for me that just stands out is it's clear to me that you've got this philosophy of, there's no defining moments, they're all just opportunities to learn and grow and develop, and I think that's come through that.
Grow and evolve. For me, I just keep evolving, keep trying to be the best you can be. That's we can really are. We're humans. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks very much.
You're welcome, mate.
Excellent. Right. Really? Cheers, mate. That was awesome.